Hello and thank you for joining us on this historical journey. Today, we will talk about the great history of Leonardo da Vinci. In the heart of the 15th century, a powerful wave of change swept across the Italian peninsula. This was the Renaissance, a fervent rebirth of art, science, and human thought that broke free from the rigid constraints of the medieval world. Cities like Florence, Milan, and Venice became vibrant hubs of innovation and immense wealth, fueled by booming trade, savvy banking families, and a renewed fascination with the classical knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome. It was an era defined by a profound shift in perspective, where humanity itself moved to the center of the universe. Thinkers and artists began to look at the world not just through the lens of divine will, but through the power of human observation, reason, and creative expression. This cultural explosion created the perfect environment for a new kind of individual to emerge, the uomo universale, or universal man, who excelled across multiple disciplines. Into this world of dynamic change, a child was born in the quiet Tuscan countryside, far from the grand palaces and political intrigue of the major cities. He would grow up to embody the very essence of the Renaissance spirit, his name becoming synonymous with boundless curiosity and unparalleled creativity. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. We will strip away the layers of myth and speculation that have accumulated over 500 years to reveal the true story of his achievements, his struggles, and his relentless quest for knowledge. We aim to present a clear, factual, and deeply human portrait of the man who was, and remains, the ultimate Renaissance master. In the heart of Tuscany, nestled among rolling hills, blanketed with olive groves and vineyards, lies the small town of Vinci. It was here, in this tranquil and unassuming landscape, that the story of Leonardo begins. On April 15th, 1452, at the third hour of the night according to the Florentine calendar, this precise detail comes to us from a diary entry written by his own grandfather, Antonio da Vinci, a notation that serves as the very first documented fact of Leonardo's existence. Leonardo's birth was marked by a circumstance that would significantly shape his social standing and career path. He was born out of wedlock. His father was Ser Piero da Vinci, a respected and ambitious young notary. His mother was a woman named Caterina, who historical records suggest was a local peasant girl, possibly an orphan. Within a year of Leonardo's birth, his father, Ser Piero, married a woman of his own social standing, Albira Amadori. Caterina, in turn, was also married off to a local artisan and farmer. This fact of his illegitimacy was a defining feature of his identity, placing him outside the traditional lines of inheritance and social privilege. Freed from the expectation of following a specific family trade, Leonardo's early years in Vinci were characterized by an unusual degree of liberty. This landscape was not just a playground, it was his first laboratory and his first art studio. For Leonardo, drawing was not merely artistic expression, it was a tool for understanding. By recreating an object on paper, he analyzed its structure, proportions, and essence. He called himself Homo senza lettere, an unlettered man. He argued that direct experience and observation beat second-hand authority. One of the most famous tales involves a shield that Leonardo was asked to paint. He composed a monstrous, fire-breathing beast emerging from a dark, rocky cleft. By the time Leonardo reached his early teens, it had become clear to his father, Ser Piero, that the boy's extraordinary talents required a more formal and challenging environment. Around 1466, at the age of 14, Leonardo left the pastoral tranquility of his childhood home and entered the bustling, competitive, intellectually vibrant world of Florence. He showed Leonardo's drawings to his friend Andrea del Verrocchio. Verrocchio was astonished by Leonardo's drawings and agreed to take him on as an apprentice, or garzon. As a new apprentice, or garzone, Leonardo started at the very bottom. His initial tasks were menial and repetitive, designed to instill discipline. The education Leonardo received in Verrocchio's bottega was extraordinarily comprehensive. An apprentice in this workshop was expected to become a polymath. A key area of study was drapery. The apprentices would then have to draw these complex arrangements, a painstaking exercise to teach chiaroscuro. According to the story, Verrocchio assigned his gifted apprentice the task of painting one of the two angels on the far left, as well as parts of the distant landscape. Leonardo's angel, by contrast, is rendered with a breathtaking and unprecedented softness. He employed subtle gradations of light and shadow, a technique that would evolve into his famous sfumato. According to Vasari's dramatic telling of the event, when Verrocchio saw the work of his pupil, he was so humbled that he resolved never to touch a paintbrush again. By 1472, at the age of 20, Leonardo's apprenticeship had formally concluded. The registration certified him as an independent master. During this transitional period, he began producing his first independent works. These works show his distinct artistic voice. In 1476, his career was threatened by a dark event. An anonymous accusation of sodomy was filed against him. The charges were investigated and ultimately dismissed. He then began The Adoration of the Magi, a revolutionary composition. He abandoned it too. By 1482, Leonardo left Florence and moved to Milan, ready to offer his talents to a new patron. He stopped presenting himself merely as a painter and became a military engineer and technologist. He headed to Milan, a powerful martial city-state ruled by Ludovico Sforza il Moro. He says he can design lightweight portable bridges. He promises new cannons, mortars, and light ordnance. He sketches covered chariots, safe and unassailable, precursors to the tank. Ludovico was intrigued by Leonardo's military engineering proposals, but his more immediate needs were creative ingenuity for the court's pageantry. For one famous festival, the Festa del Paradiso, he constructed a mechanical recreation of the heavens. Created around 1490 in Milan, this iconic ink drawing is far more than an anatomical sketch. It is a philosophical statement, a mathematical puzzle, a profound exploration of the human place in the cosmos. By enclosing the man within both shapes, Leonardo argues that man bridges the spiritual and the physical, a microcosm reflecting the order and harmony of the universe. Around 1495, Ludovico asked Leonardo to paint a mural of the Last Supper in the refectory, or dining hall, of the Dominican convent. However, what Leonardo would create was anything but traditional. The moment Leonardo chose to depict was the most dramatic possible. The instant just after Christ has announced, "Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me." Peter lunges forward clutching a knife. John swoons in despair. Philip points to himself in disbelief. And Judas, clutching a bag of silver, recoils into the shadows. To realize his vision, Leonardo made a fateful technical decision. His experimental ground layer did not adhere properly to the wall. Within just a few years of its completion, the paint began to flake and peel away. Perhaps the most direct window into Leonardo's mind is the vast collection of manuscripts he left behind. He carried small, pocket-sized journals with him wherever he went. The sheer range of subjects covered in these notebooks is staggering. Human anatomy, designs for military weapons, flying machines, botanical drawings, geological theories. A distinctive feature of the notebooks is Leonardo's famous mirror script. As a left-handed writer, writing from right to left prevented him from smudging the ink. It was a simple personal solution to a practical problem. Of the many collections of Leonardo's notes, the largest and most famous is the Codex Atlanticus. This monumental volume is not a notebook as Leonardo wrote it, but a posthumous compilation of his loose papers. Mounted them onto large Atlantic-sized sheets of paper, from which the Codex gets its name. The Codex Atlanticus is a testament to Leonardo's interdisciplinary genius. It contains some of his most ambitious and famous engineering designs. While Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks are a breathtaking catalogue of visionary ideas, the vast majority of his most ambitious engineering designs were never constructed in his lifetime. The primary obstacle was the lack of a suitable power source. He consistently underestimated the immense power required to operate these devices. The drawing contains a famous design flaw. The gearing would make front and back wheels turn opposite directions, rendering the vehicle immobile. His notebooks became a seed bank of ideas that would only begin to be fully realized centuries later. The first and most crucial step in any great invention is the ability to imagine it in the first place. In 1499, the political landscape of Italy was violently reshaped. At 47, Leonardo was once again set adrift. The city he returned to was not the same one he'd left. It was replaced by a republic with a turbulent, uncertain spirit. The 51-year-old Leonardo, the established and revered master, came face to face with the city's new artistic superstar, the 28-year-old Michelangelo Buonarroti. Leonardo was elegant, charming, handsome. Michelangelo was famously temperamental, solitary, disdainful of his appearance. In a stroke of political genius, leaders commissioned both artists to paint enormous murals. On opposite walls of the new Grand Council Hall in the Palazzo Vecchio, Leonardo received the Battle of Anghiari. His central scene was a visceral, chaotic vortex of violence. Michelangelo, the Battle of Cassina. It became a contest, an art of science and subtlety versus an art of power and passion. Just as with the Last Supper, Leonardo's desire for technical innovation led him to experiment. The colors began to run, drip, and smear, irretrievably ruining the work. He abandoned the project in 1506. Eventually, the hall was remodeled by Giorgio Vasari, and Leonardo's mural was lost forever. The Battle of Anghiari now exists only through its preparatory sketches and copies, a ghost of a lost masterpiece that stands as Leonardo's grandest failure. Amidst the grand public dramas, Leonardo began work on a much smaller, more intimate painting that would become his most enduring legacy. Historical records show that the commission was never delivered. Instead, Leonardo kept the painting with him for the rest of his life, continuing to work on it for years. He applied countless layers of thin, almost transparent oil glazes, creating a surface with an unprecedented depth and luminosity that seemed to glow from within. Instead of presenting the subject in a stiff, formal profile, Leonardo depicted Lisa in a relaxed, three-quarter pose, directly engaging the viewer with her gaze. It is not a broad, clear expression of happiness, but a subtle, fleeting, and ambiguous upturn of the lips that seems to change as you look at it. By blurring these key features with his signature sfumato technique, he created an expression that the viewer's eye can never fully resolve. The smile flickers at the edge of perception, half seen and half inferred, forever drawing the viewer into a silent, captivating dialogue with the woman in the portrait. In 1513, the now 61-year-old Leonardo da Vinci once again found himself in search of stable employment. His gaze turned towards Rome. In this city of artistic titans, the aging Leonardo cut a somewhat isolated figure. Not a central player in the grand projects reshaping the city. King Francis V was particularly captivated by the legend of Leonardo da Vinci and invited him to live and work in France. In late 1516, he embarked on the arduous journey across the Alps, marking his final departure from his native Italy. Upon his arrival in France, King Francis III provided Leonardo with a home befitting his esteemed status, the Château du Clos Lucé, with his painting hand partially paralyzed. Leonardo dedicated the last years of his life to his ultimate intellectual ambition, organizing his vast collection of notebooks. On April 23rd, he summoned a notary to his bedside. To Melzi, whom he treated as a son, he entrusted his most precious possessions, all of his books. On May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci died at Clos Lucé. A famous and romanticized story claims that Leonardo died in the arms of King Francis I. It is almost certainly a myth. Leonardo da Vinci's death was not an end, but a transformation. His immediate legacy was in the world of art. His scientific and engineering legacy took much longer to be understood. As the manuscripts were rediscovered, the world began to grasp the astonishing scope of his scientific inquiries. Today, Leonardo's legacy lies not just in his specific achievements, but in his revolutionary method, saper vedere, knowing how to see. His relentless drive to merge art, science, and technology resonates deeply with the spirit of the 21st century. The tech innovators, the bioengineers, are all, in a sense, the heirs of Leonardo. This pattern of incompletion is not a failure of his legacy, but an essential part of it. It reveals a man who was more enthralled by the process of inquiry than by the finality of a finished product. He was an artist, a scientist, an inventor, an engineer, and a philosopher. A man whose reach did not exceed his grasp, but instead expanded our very understanding of what a single human mind is capable of grasping. His true masterpiece was not a painting or a machine, but the extraordinary life he lived in his relentless, joyful pursuit of knowledge. That concludes our historical journey today. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please like and share. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so already. This really helps our channel to grow and make better videos for you.